Welcome to the GPLama YouTube channel, where today it is time to rip the band-aid off this product here, the Saris H4 Direct Drive Smart Trainer. Now, Saris have been given my feedback on this trainer over a month ago. All the issues I've reported are acknowledged and are being worked on, but as of today, in late October 2022, they are still unresolved. Now, from the outset, things were a little weird with this one. Just prior to Eurobike 2022, I sent Saris an email saying, do you guys have any products upcoming that I can cover for the show? The answer was, thanks for contacting us, and no, we don't have anything in the pipeline. If we do, we will let you know. Now, not too soon after that, they had some financial issues, as we've seen in the media, and a few days after that, the H4 was announced, with a number of press releases published across the internet. So I went back to the emails and asked if they would like to send one over, a media review unit, for me to put through the Llama lab test. They were happy to do so and sent over a trainer where the shipping cost was about 4 times the value of the trainer itself. So I do appreciate the opportunity to test this trainer. Given the technical specifications of the H4 were a little improved over the H3, I was expecting a similar experience, maybe a little better. But it wasn't too soon after the unboxing that the wheels fell off, so to speak, and it really didn't get any better from there on. But before getting to all those details, just covering off the hero features or the new features and the technical specifications of this trainer. Now, the two headline features of the H4 were 12-speed compatibility, giving it a little more clearance with the rear derailleur, and plus or minus 1% power accuracy. That's down from plus or minus 2% on the H3. Now, unfortunately, these two features are absent in the H4 trainer that has landed here in the Llama lab to date. Covering off the rest of the technical specifications, direct drive interactive smart trainer, so you get sim mode, erg mode, standard axle compatibilities from quick release 130, 135, Thru-Axles 142 to 148. It does not have a rear pivoting axle, so there is no compatibility with things such as the Elite Riser or the Kicker Climb. There is an aftermarket XD or XDR driver for purchase if you're on the SRAM side of things. Supported connections, you have ANT+, ANT+ FEC, Bluetooth FTMS with a single Bluetooth connection. You get power, speed, and cadence, although cadence still is a little bit wonky, as we've seen with previous generations of this trainer. Power accuracy, as claimed, plus or minus 1%. Still has a spin-down calibration, which needs to be performed every now and then, so no auto-calibration for this. Onto a few things that have been improved with the H4. The gradient simulation is now up to 25%, up from 20% on the H3. Maximum power output, you need to be topping out at 2300 watts to, I guess, break this unit, up from 2000 watts on the H3. Flywheel remains the same, so 20 pounds or 9 kilos. Noise-wise, this thing's quiet, as was the H3. Power source is from mains power, but without power, you'll get a progressive level of resistance for this unit. Firmware upgrades are available via the app, and the price comes in at US $999.99. Now, given the dollar value is changing quite rapidly at the moment, I'll just leave that in US pricing. I don't have anything else from any other markets. The unboxing is very straightforward. It has better internal packaging than previous units. It comes fully assembled, so there's no messing about. As with the previous generation H's and Hammers, it comes with a hidden front riser block, which is a wafer thin and has a disc brake spacer included underneath. Now, onto the part where the wheels started falling off, well, before I even mounted the trainer. Let's have a chat about the 12-speed cassette problem. Now, in all my experience of reviewing smart trainers for a number of years, I've installed all number of cassettes on all different types of trainers. The method is always exactly the same. You line up the splines, you slide things in with the use of this little plastic holder tool from Shimano. Things are even easier these days. However, I could not get this Shimano R8100 12-speed road cassette to slide on properly. It'd go on a little bit, then just wouldn't continue sliding on like every other cassette that I've used. It was the last two cogs that just wouldn't go on. That would go on okay. As you can see here, that goes on and off. Bit of a tight fit though, but those last two cogs simply would not go on. I spent many minutes on this before giving up and then pulling out a set of vernier calipers to find out exactly what the problem was, and it was quite surprising. All right, and down the rabbit hole we go for today. Now, the Shimano 12-speed Hyperglide Plus cassettes don't appear to be 100% backwards compatible with all HG Freehubs. Now, this is not a Shimano issue. It appears to be a manufacturing/design/tolerance issue with non-Shimano hubs. In long, Alrighty, let's get to the details. Now, the second smallest cog, as you see here on screen, from both a 12-speed and 11-speed cassette, both from Shimano, are different beasts. The one on the left there interlocks with the 11-tooth cog on a 12-speed, something that doesn't happen on the 11-speed. I assume Shimano have done this to give the 11-tooth cog a little bit more bite or contact with the cassette or freehub. And in doing this, it looks like they've reduced the install tolerances of the last two cogs to make them a tighter fit. So on screen here, I've measured the gap between two teeth on both of these second smallest cogs. The 12-speed HG Plus, we see 6mm gap between those two teeth, and over on the right-hand side, we see a 6.2mm gap. Now, it is worth mentioning that the HG Freehubs are manufactured on, well, they're cut from angles based on degrees from the center, rather than the direct measurements they're showing here. However, this does get us to the conclusion that I was looking for. And that conclusion, well, as shown here on the next slide, along with a few measurements from a number of hubs of this particular tooth in question, that is the corresponding slot for that gap that we saw before. So the Saris H4 measures out at 6.2mm, Saris H3 6.14mm, and surprise, surprise, the 12-speed Shimano cassette does not slide over top of those because the tooth on those cassettes are too wide. Elite, as shown on screen here, Dorado XRT, no problems at all. 5.73mm Wahoo slots on just nicely with not much clearance whatsoever, so 6mm into 6mm. Jet Black, 6mm into 6mm. Interestingly enough, I have a set of Hunt wheels where that tooth in particular measures out at 6mm. However, another tooth somewhere else on the Freehub doesn't quite fit, so incompatible with Shimano 12-speed. Interesting stuff. Now a close-up of what that looks like. There on the left, Dorado XR, that second last tooth with the interlocking teeth slides in, no problems at all. On the right there, Saris H4, and it's the same with the H3 and H2. Less than ideal clearance, and by less than ideal, I mean it doesn't actually go on. Another smaller annoyance with the H4, similar to the H3 as shown here, is any Thru-Axle with a fixed lever can't be used. You can't actually rotate the Thru-Axle to mount your bike. You're going to have to find an alternate solution for that. A few comments on the ride feel or on-bike experience with the H4, and it really is a cut and paste of the experience that I had on the H3. The ride feel is good, that nice weighty flywheel has a nice smooth kickover. I can't spin the unit out in high sprints like I can with some trainers with lighter flywheels or weird internal gearing. So it's a tick box for that. The erg mode resistance changes are buttery smooth. This unit is brilliant in erg for those transitions and being able to hold that set point. Something the H3 was known for as well. The hills felt like hills and the gradient changes were prompt. So it ticks all the boxes there. Cadence-wise, similar to the H and Hammer series, this does have a few problems when there's no resistance on the pedals or through the cranks to try and calculate the cadence. We'll have a look at the data in a sec on that. So not much has changed from there. Speaking of the data, let's have a look right now. And for this, it's over to my favorite website on the internet, the DCR Analyzer tool, where we can compare multiple activity files as an overlay and see how things stack up. I'll try and make this quick because, well, it didn't even complete the full Lama lab test. It wasn't that good. Okay, standard warm-up here with the Garmin Rally XCs, the Magine P505 Spider Power Meter, and the Saris H4. 10 minutes warm-up, spin down completed. Side note, don't do a spin down in Zwift. It crashes Zwift with the H4, so the spin down was done with their clunky little app. If you think I'm being harsh, I'm being very polite. Thankfully, I don't have the sound recordings from the Lama lab when I was trying to get this complete. However, once done, we got into the steady state here, 200 and 250 watt steady state. Again, power meter zeroed, following my standard protocol. And from the outset here, we see some issues. 234, 236, pretty close there from the two on-bike power meters. 224 on the Saris H4. The ability to hold that erg set point, as I've mentioned in what works well on this trainer, was pretty good. That ride feel was nice. The power was too low. Was it drivetrain loss? No, it wasn't. I do everything in my power to eliminate drivetrain loss. I have a super clean chain. Jockey wheels are absolutely pristine. Chain line is straight. The right gear is selected. Everything lines up. When the trainer does work, it works here. This doesn't. Simple as that. It's well off. I think we're looking at around 5 to 6% out there, not within 1% spec, even being very generous and factoring in, say, plus or minus 2% for this, plus or minus 3% for that. It's just not within spec. Sprint-wise for this one, I think the Rally's got a bit excited for the sprints, but nothing major. So the Rally's there, 1304, that's a bit jumpy. But 1155, 1183 for a short sprint. That's not too bad. I'm not seeing 400 to 500 watts difference or 200 watts difference with the trainer. Look, I wasn't happy with those numbers early on. That was the first test. So I did another few spin downs here and encountered a few more frustrations with the spin downs. Once I managed to get that complete, it was into the overs and unders. And overall here, again, this is not smooth. So we're looking at 1 second raw data here. 216, 218 with the 2 power meters on the bike. Pretty cool with that. 209, not within spec. And you can see the consistency there of the trainer being just, well, too low. 149, 154, 138 right there. So from there on, I did a couple of more tests. We'll dive in here. Look, it's pretty simple to see what's happening with this trainer or not. Here's a slight little ramp test here. Again, the trainer reading a little low. Spiky sprint here, the Saris H4 reading 1393, so there was a spike in sprints there. Another short little sprint there. I was getting a little tired. That's probably within ballpark what I'd expect, about 100 watts difference there between the Machine and the Rally, 1300. I really need to get my longer sprint on for those. And looping back to the 200 watt steady state and 250 watt steady state and a sprint to see if anything gets phase shifted. And the answer was no there, still consistent. 232, 233, 225, the Saris H4 being a little lower again. Quickly pulling up the cadence on this unit, and no real improvement seen there from previous generations either. Now the Saris trainers aren't too bad at detecting your cadence from your pedal stroke as long as there's tension on the chain. But if there's no tension and things are really light on, let's just say you go down a sim, well, my chair goes down a sim gradient and it can't pick that, I guess, sine wave of power, it can't calculate cadence. So what we're seeing here is just the Saris jumping out and dropping out like nothing else. With the 2 power meters on the bike, because they're still turning and based on accelerometers, they report correctly. However, once bumping into that erg steady state where there is tension always on the chain, no problems. So cadence is okay, but in summary, not that great. As the data we've seen here from the first Lama lab test on my 11-speed bike really wasn't that great, not enough for me to even complete the full Lama lab test, I decided to put my 12-speed bike on and line the chain up in a gear that would work and I'd be able to use erg mode in. And here's the second data set here. So we have the Saris H4 Asioma Duos up against the Power Max NGCos. Yep, I pulled out the big guns for this one, and what we can see here on screen is exactly the same. During warm-up here, let's forget this, but we can see the H4 reading low, stopped, encountered the muddy waters that is the spin-down process right here. Once that's successfully completed, it was into the 200 and 250 watt steady state. Again, same Lama lab test as before, and same result. 224 on the H4, 237, 239, so the 2 power meters on the bike are pretty close. The trainer itself wasn't. It's nicely offset, but it wasn't where I expected it to be. The sprint for this one, and that's not too bad for that really, really short sprint there. Nothing major separating those. Into the overs and unders after just riding along. Let's have a look at that. And again, same consistency as before. So 204 on the Saris for that section selected through there. 211.6, 214. So the 2 power meters on the bike are closer than the trainer itself. And finishing off with another slight little hill jam ramp test and then back into the steady state to see if there's any changes. And the trainer here lagging out a little bit on the ramp up here. And again, consistently low through here. Picking one data point just there. So the 2 power meters on the bike, 259, 259, and the Saris H4, 249. As mentioned earlier in this video, Saris have acknowledged there are spin down or calibration issues with this trainer. They're looking into it, and they're still to get back to me on that. So maybe stay tuned on a follow-up, let's see. Alrighty, onto the issues and summary. Now, although the Saris H4 trainer is a good performer on the pedals for that ride feel, that buttery smooth erg transition, and the ability to really hold that set point nicely. It's what the H3 was known for too. So the H4 follows in good step there. But unfortunately, there's a number of other issues where the H4 does not match the standard of the H3 trainer, and that's a problem. Look, with the Freehub not being compatible with the Shimano Road 12-speed cassette, let's call that what it is. That's an outright embarrassment given their press release on this trainer. I also went back and tried to install the cassette on a H3 and H2. It also didn't work on those either. The power accuracy, another hero feature, not being within plus or minus 1%, does need to be addressed very, very quick smart. The Thru-Axle installation, as you saw with that lever there, that's just awkward. I believe it's the only trainer that I've had this issue with as well. And the app and spin down issues, and also it crashing Zwift, although this might not be a Saris issue, that could be a Zwift issue. It was very frustrating as an end user testing this trainer. Again, as I've mentioned, Saris have acknowledged all of these issues and they are working on them. And this could very well be the reason the trainers aren't up for sale yet, being out of stock on their website since launch. With the news rolling in last week that Saris now have new company owners, they're in a much better position to address the issues that the H4 trainer has. But as a 4th generation unit, this is not a very good start at all. And even with those issues resolved, we're not seeing anything new or innovative that would put it ahead of the competition in late 2022. There's no auto-calibration, there's no dual Bluetooth, there's no Wi-Fi or Ethernet connectivity. People might still have to piss about with their Thru-Axle adapters to get them in with the lever and the clearance. Look, call it what you will, this is just a small refinement and at this point in time, a pretty big step backwards from the H3. So with that, it's in Saris's hands to resolve a number of these issues with this trainer. If they do, if there's updates, I'll cover them here on the channel. I'll put them in comments below as well. But for now, I think this one is a stay clear. And with that, thanks for watching. As always, if you found this informative or at least entertaining, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe to support this channel and be alerted of new content. It's much appreciated. We'll see you soon.